Today, let's start with the lesson The Thief's Story from the textbook Footprints Without Feet. Here are some questions. First of all, see the box. A young boy makes friends with Anil. Anil trusts him completely and employs him. Does the boy betray his trust? Who does I refer to in this story? What is he a fairly unsuccessful hand at? What does he get from Anil in return for his work? We will see the questions after the lesson. I was still a thief when I met Anil, and though only 15, I was an experienced and fairly successful hand. Here, I was still a thief when he met Anil, and he was only 15 years old, and he was an experienced and fairly successful hand because he is a thief. As a thief, he was successful and experienced hand. Anil was watching a wrestling match when I approached him. He was about 25, a tall, lean fellow, and he looked easy going, kind, and simple enough for my purpose. I hadn't had much luck of late and thought I might be able to get into the young man's confidence. You look a bit of a wrestler yourself, I said. A little flattery helps in making friends. Here, Anil was watching a wrestling match, and when that thief approached him, he was about 25 years, a tall, lean fellow, and he looked very easy-going, kind, and very simple man for his purpose, for thief's purpose. And I hadn't had much luck of late, and he want to be able to get into that young man's confidence, and he said, "You look a bit of a wrestler yourself." In a very flattery helps in making friends. Flattery means excessive and insincere praise to make to gain the confidence. So do you, he replied, which put me off for a moment because at that time I was rather thin. So do you, he replied then. Means that is very off moment for him because he was very rather thin. Well, I said modestly, I do wrestle a bit. What he said, well, I do wrestling a bit. Then, what's your name? He said, Hari Singh. Thief said, Hari Singh. He lied. Okay. I took a new name every month. He took a new name every month to keep himself hide. That kept him ahead of the police and my former employees too. After this introduction, Anil talked about a well-oiled wrestlers who were grunting, lifting, and throwing each other about. I didn't have much to say. Anil walked away. I followed casually. Now Anil talked about some well-oiled wrestlers who were grunting, lifting, and throwing each other. And then he don't know thief not having much to say about that. And Anil walked away, and then he followed Anil casually. Hello again, he said. I gave him my most appealing smile. I want to work for you, I said, but I can't pay you. So what thief said here, that he want to work for you, and he can't pay you anything. I gave my most appealing smile to work for Anil. I thought that over a minute, perhaps I had misjudged my man. I asked, can you feed me? So can you feed me? He thought for a minute, and then he just misjudged my man, and then he asked that, can you feed me? Then thief asked that, can you feed me? Then Anil said, can you cook? So he said, I can cook. Then again he lied. If you can cook, then maybe I can feed you. Then Anil said that, if you can cook, I will feed you. I can feed you. He took me to his room over a Jamna sweet shop and told me I could sleep on the balcony, but the meal I cooked that night must have been terrible because Anil gave it to a stray dog, because that is not even to eat, and told me to be off. And then he told me to be off. but I just hung around and smiling in most appealing way, and he couldn't help laughing. And he just said that, you can go from here, because Anil gave it to the food he prepared. Anil gave it to a stray dog and told me to be off. But I just hung around Anil and smiling in a most appealing way. Later, he patted on me on the head and said, "Never mind. I would teach me. He would teach me to cook, and he also taught me to write my name and said he would soon teach me to write whole sentences and to add numbers too. He will teach him to write, how to write whole sentences, how to add numbers and all." I was grateful. I knew that once I could write like an educated man, there would be no limit to what I could achieve. When thief is now thinking that I could write like an educated man, there would be no limit what could I achieve. So it was quite pleasant working for Anil. What here thief is thinking that it was quite pleasant working for Anil. I made the tea in the morning and then would take my time buying the day's supplies, usually making a profit of about a rupee a day. Um, from the shop, and I think he knew I made a little money this way, but he did not seem to mind. But Anil did not seem to mind that what he is doing in absence of Anil. Anil made money by fits and starts with irregular bursts of activity, that we can say fits and start. He would borrow one week, lend the next, and he would borrow 1 week and lend the next week. He kept worrying about his next check, but as soon as it arrived, he would go out and celebrate. It seems he wrote for magazines. A queer way to make a living, means odd way to make a living. It seems he wrote for magazine, that is a very odd way to make living. One evening he came home with a small bundle of notes, saying he had just sold a book to a publisher. At night I saw him tuck the money under the mattress. And what thief is now checking that one evening he came with a bundle of notes and saying he had just sold some books to a publisher. And what he see in the night, at night I saw him tuck the money under the mattress. He kept money under the mattress. And I had been working for Anil for almost a month. And apart from cheating on the shopping, and I had not done anything in my line of work, that is not his line of work, and I had every opportunity for doing so. Anil had given me a key to the door, that I could come and go as I pleased. So now he is having the most trust on him. Anil is having trust on him. So he was the most trusting person I had ever met. Anil is the most trustable person. And that is why it was so difficult to rob him. That is why it is very difficult to rob him. It is easy to rob a greedy man because he can afford to be robbed. It is very easy to rob a greedy man, but it's difficult to rob a careless man. Sometimes he doesn't even notice he's been robbed, and that takes all the pleasure out of the work, and that work is not having any pleasure. Well, it's time I did some real work, I told myself. I am out of practice, and if I don't take the money, he will only waste it on his friend. After all, he doesn't even pay me. So what here thief is thinking that well, it's the time to do some real work, and he told himself that is out of practice. And if I don't take money, if the thief don't take money, that Anil will waste money that on his friends. And after all, he doesn't pay me for my work. So let's see the questions. Who does I refer to in this story? I refers to Hari Singh, the narrator of the story, who is a 15-year-old experienced thief. Okay. And question number 2, what is he a fairly successful hand at? He is a fairly successful hand at stealing things. He is an experienced thief. He is so clean and swift in his work, and that he robs people without being caught. So this is the answer for second one. What does he get from Anil in return for his work? In return of Hari Singh's work, means thief's work, Anil gave him some food and a place to live in. Okay, here are the three answers. Now next answer questions we will see after this part. Anil was asleep. A beam of moonlight stepped over the balcony and fell on the bed. I sat up on the floor, considering the situation. If I took the money, I could catch the 10:30 express to Lucknow. Slipping out of the blanket, I crept up to the bed. Anil was sleeping peacefully. His face was clear and unlined. Even I had more marks on my face, though mine was mostly scars. Here Anil was sleeping very peacefully, and the beam of moonlight is stepped over the balcony and fell on the bed, and I sat up on the floor. And in this situation, he just when if I took money now, then he could catch the train express at 10:30 to Lucknow. Sleeping out of the blanket, now he crept to the Anil's bed, who was sleeping very peacefully, and his face was very clear and unlined, but thief's face is having more scars on his face. My hand slid under the mattress. Slid is the past form of slide. Under the mattress, searching for the notes. When I found them, I drew them out without making a sound. Anil sighed in his sleep and turned on his side towards me. I was startled and quickly crawled out of the room. And now he just searching for the notes, and he found them, and he just drew them out without making a sound, and then he just quickly crawled out of the room. When I was on the road, I began to run. Now when he was on the road, he began to run. I had notes at my waist, held there by the string of my pajama. I slowed down to the walk and counted the note. Now he slowed down and began to count 600 rupees in 50s, and I could live like an oil-rich Arab for a week or two. Now he is thinking that I can live like the rich man now, who is having oil-rich Arabs, like an oil-rich Arabs. When I reached the station, I did not stop at the ticket office. Thief is not stopped because I had never bought a ticket in my life, but dashed straight to the platform. The Lucknow Express was just moving out. The train had still to pick up speed, and I should have been able to jump into one of the carriages, but I hesitated. For some reason I can't explain, and I lost the chance to get away. He had a chance, but he can't. He lost the chance. He can't explain the things why he is hesitated. Maybe for some reason. What are these reasons? He can easily jump into one of the carriage, but he hesitated for some reason, and he is not having. He can't explain, and he lost the chance to get away. When the train had gone, I found myself standing alone on the deserted platform. I had no idea where to spend the night. I had no friends, believing that friends were more trouble than help, and I did not want to make anyone curious by staying at one of the small hotels near the station. The only person I knew really well was a man I had robbed. Leaving the station, I walked slowly through the bazaars. When the train had gone, he is now alone on the station, on the platform, deserted platform. I had no idea. He had no idea where to spend the night, and he had no friends. That he believed that friends were more trouble than help, and he did not to make anyone curious, staying at one of the small hotel. And the only person he knew really well was the man I had robbed. That means only Anil. Leaving the station, he just walked slowly through the bazaar. In my short career as a thief, I had made a study of men's faces. When they had lost their goods, the greedy man showed fear. What greedy man showed on his face? Fear. The rich man showed anger, and the poor man showed acceptance. But I knew that Anil's face, when he discovered the theft, would show only a touch of sadness. He became sad. not for the loss of money, but for the loss of trust. He became sad just for the loss of trust. I found myself in the maiden and sat down on the bench. The night was chilly. It was early November, and a light drizzle added to my discomfort. Soon it was raining quite heavily. My shirt and pajamas stuck to my skin, and a cold wind blew the rain across my face. Now he found himself that in the maiden, and he sat down on the bench there, and the night was very chilly because that was November, and it was raining quite heavily, and now the cold wind blew the rain across his thief's face. I went back to the bazaar and sat down in the shelter of the clock tower. The clock showed midnight. I felt for the notes. They were damp and from the rain. It may got wet in the rain, and the clock showed the time midnight. Anil's money. In the morning, he would probably have given me 2 or 3 rupees go to the cinema. But now I had it all. The bundle of that money. I couldn't cook his meal, run to the bazaar, or learn to write whole sentences anymore. Now he never work means he don't want, he even couldn't cook his meal, run to the bazaar, to write, to learn whole sentences anymore. I had forgotten about them in the excitement of the theft. Whole sentences, I knew, could one day bring me more than a few 100 rupees. It was a simple matter to steal, and sometimes just as simple to be caught. But to be a really big man, a clever and respected man, was something else. That taste is something else. To become a respected man, it is very easy to steal, it is very easy to be caught, but what is to be really, that is a big man, a clever and respected man, was something else. I should go back to Anil, I told myself, if only to learn to write and to read. Means what he is thinking now, he should go back to Anil, and he told himself that only to read and write. I hurried back to the room, feeling very nervous, for it is much easier to steal something than to return it undetected. Now he is returning money. I opened the door quietly, then stood in the doorway in clouded moonlight. Anil was still asleep. I crept to the head of the bed, and my hand came up with the notes. I felt his breath on my hand. I remained still for a minute. Then my hand found the edge of the mattress and slipped under it with the notes. Now he is ready to keep the notes under the mattress. He can feel his breath on his hand, and he is still for a minute, and then he find the edge of the mattress and he slipped under it with a note. I awoke late next morning to find that Anil had already made the tea. He stretched out his hand towards me, and what is there? There was a 50 rupee notes between his fingers. My heart sank. I thought I had been discovered. What he thought, that he had been discovered, but I made some money yesterday, he explained. And Anil explained that I made some money yesterday, so you will be paid regularly. Now you will be paid regularly. My spirit rose, but when I took the note, I saw it was still wet from the night's rain, and the note was wet because of the night's rain. Today we will start writing sentences, he said. Now what he said, that today we will start writing sentences, how to write sentences, and he knew, but neither his lips nor his eyes showed anything. No reaction means neither his lips nor his eyes showed anything. I smiled at Anil in most appealing way, and the smile came by itself without any effort. And that smile came by itself without any effort. That is everything. So here are the questions. How does the thief think Anil will react to the theft? Here, according to Hari, according to thief, Anil would be sad not because of the loss of money, but because of the loss of the trust he had in Hari, or he had in that boy thief. What does he say about the different reactions of people when they are robbed? Different reactions of the people, according to his experience at theft, had made him aware of the differences in reactions of when they robbed. According to him, a greedy man shows fear, a rich man anger, and a poor man acceptance. Does Anil realize that he has been robbed? Anil realized that he had been robbed, as he gave a 50 rupee note to Hari, which was still damp due to the night's rain. That's why he knew that he has been robbed. So for the next questions, for the textual questions, you can comment me. We will discuss the questions. Maybe this explanation may help you, and thank you for your support. Guys, like, share and subscribe me. Thank you.